And then we have another one which the Home Office actually told him here that he had to go back, even though he came here in the 70s. They said, you have no right to be here. He went over there for several years, and then I don't know how they found him, but they wrote to him and said that we wrongly told you to leave the UK, and they gave him a visa to return, but he's homeless. He's in a hostel because he only came back last year during the pandemic. And obviously, think about it, all these years, all of he's cut ties with everybody now because nobody understood why you were being sent back. So they think, oh, something happened, something untoward, or you did this, but they didn't do anything. So there are those that we're concerned that there are those who are still out there who haven't even been reached out to, or don't realise that they may fall under Windrush and need help to come back.
That's right, guys. We are going to have a good day today. This is your breakfast show, and we're with you from now until the hours of 9 o'clock. And guys, it's going down today. It really is going down today because it is the pursuit of success. And those of you who are on our breakfast show What's Up line, all right, you would have received a bit of behind the scenes footage. We're dealing with the subject matter we're going to be looking at today. And there was a word. Oh gosh, how can I even forget the word? Mel, what was that word that you used again to describe someone? That uncertainty, yes. Right? And basically, what it is, imagine living a life in uncertainty, right? Things are promised to you, there are things that are owed to you, but there's uncertainty which can actually affect how you can actually be displaced in, organizing your future, where you're going to live, where you're going to stay. And this is what we're going to be looking at today. And we have our guest, but before I just go into introduce our guest, let me just catch up firstly with the What's Up line before we with the live chat before we begin. And first one who's in there, we have Siboni saying good morning in the live chat. That's how we roll, Siboni, always connected. That's the spirit. Jeanette says, just popped my AirPod in so can enjoy breakfast show on the move. That's the spirit. Annette of Infinity Power says, good morning, everyone. Victoria says, we have 100 days of planting and reaping, and plus we have the breakfast show. Soldiers, we have all the positive things around us. We are very fortunate. I hope the sound is clear. Good off, nice one. All right, so look, we're going to be adding a lot more stuff to you guys, and if you do have questions as we go through this piece, please feel free to put it in our breakfast show live chat, so our guests can also see them and take note of them, and also prepare to give you a suitable answer. And if you do have a voice note, you can send it through to our breakfast show What's Up line. All right, but now we're literally going to go into this, guys, as we're now going into the pursuit of success. All right, so we have in the center, we have here the one only Siboni. Yes, Siboni. Let me get you here. Here we go.
My mic's.
There you go. You're good. You're alive. You're living your life.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Siboni. We had you I think before the lockdown a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, where we started to briefly speak on the scheme, and obviously we're here today to speak a lot more. I really going, to the whole scandal and scheme and how we can help as an organisation, those who need
the support,
our assistance and help with their claim. So yes,
fantastic. And this is something you're very passionate about.
Yes, it is. It's something where because I actually worked in corporate law, so that's my background. However, I've always done voluntary work since law school, so I've always wanted to help the community. And I think it was, trying to see how I can use my skill set, how I can do things to help those in need. And I was going to like a lot of road shows in 2018 when the scandal broke, because I didn't know about it myself. So I learned through these road shows in the community in Nottingham, and then I had an idea, why can't some of us who are lawyers, who have the skill set, have some sort of knowledge on this area, why not use our skills to help those who need help free? Because obviously another concern was that, some law firms or lawyers, organizations will try and exploit, those in hardship and try and, charge them.
This is important. Sorry to interject. Sorry to interject. This is important because on my way here this morning, I was actually speaking with someone. I was getting ready for the show, getting my mind right for the show, and I was explaining what we're going to be looking at today. And there's someone who have had first hand experience with this, when it comes to having leaving the country, dealing with legal issues to stay in the country, and how much it costs, that you have lawyers who literally run away with your money and you just don't know who to trust, who to turn to, and this is an actual thing.
Yeah, right? Definitely. And I think I went through, something similar, not on the same scale, but, when I was 16 years old, I found out that I wasn't British, even though I was born here.
Wait, hang on, sorry. Hang on. So you was born in the country, 16 years existing in the country, going to school, you did primary school, you did secondary school, you're getting ready for country, and all of a sudden you get told you're not British.
Yes, and I didn't realise until, one of my siblings went on a trip abroad, and when they were at the border, they were refused entry, and they had to come back with the teacher, and that's when we discovered, hang on a minute, there's a problem here, and we had to go through the process of naturalization and go through the ceremony. And I remember just being like sat there 16 years old, everybody's so happy at the ceremony, like, yeah, I'm British. I was just vexed. I was like, I'm not singing God Save the Queen. I ain't
really
doing no allegiance or anything. I was born here, but it was because during that time the laws had changed around that time in the 80s, where even though you were born here, if your parents were not British or didn't have certain status, even if you were born here, you're not British. And the laws had changed a few years before I was born. So that meant even I was
let me understand, just out of curiosity, just to kind of define this. Sorry to interject once again, but like what year did the laws change?
1983. So it was the 1983 Act that came into force in 1984, where even those who are British, if neither one of your parents, and actually it was married parents, so you could only get your father's nationality if he was British, if they were married.
Wow.
Yeah. If they were not married and your mum's not British, then but your dad is, you don't get his nationality.
That's crazy.
I know.
Who makes this stuff up? This is interesting, and I get it, because I'm just thinking about myself growing up. My mom came from Ghana. My parents split at some point, but I was born before 1983. Just give some people ask about my age. So yeah, all right. So it was, for me, my mom would say, "Oh, you are easy," Yeah, literally. I remember her saying that. I didn't understand at the time, right? When I'm like 9 years older. But my other brother, he was born 1985, so there's things that she had to organize, and then I had another brother who was back home in Ghana, who's the eldest, and then he had to come. So she had a lot of work that she had to do, things that she had to pay. So now when you speak about this, I'm actually understanding what was going on in my life during those times.
Yeah, because also as well, not many realise that. So any child after 9 to 3 who was born here, you can actually register the child after 10 years of them living here and being born, as to register them as British. But not many knew that, or even knew that. So my parents didn't know that. So that's why it's only when I was 16 years old and just traveling, then something, it was very sad. I do recall us, trying to sort it out, but not enough time. So unfortunately, they couldn't go on the school trip. And I think that's why we all had to sort it out. And this is what we are going to speak about, because it stems far back, and you'll see that the laws year by year, or they were trying to make it a lot harder for certain nationals from certain countries, mainly black and brown countries, if we are honest. And I think that's where kind of this whole scandal, it's not, even though yes, it's Windrush, and we'll explain about Windrush and who are the generation classed as Windrush, but obviously we're seeing for our line of work that even younger ones are starting to get affected. If their grandma's status was not recognised, and then their mums or dads weren't, then themselves, even though they may be very young now, is still not recognised. But I'm not going to speak a lot, because I'm sure you don't just want to hear my voice, people. So
you've got a lot to share.
Yeah,
I can feel that.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to kind of move on to Melanie, because she's going to speak about the background.
No problem. Because we want to hear about the background, definitely. So just you have with you here to the. Actually, let me see. The camera's left, we have Selena. We're familiar with Selena.
Morning.
How you doing, Selena?
Morning.
So you've been working with Siboni on this project as well.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we have Mel as well over there to the side there. Let me see again. Nice. There you go. Gorgeous camera there. They're lovely. Yep. And you're gonna be you've been working with her as well on this project.
Yeah, I'm part of the ULA, which is the organisation helping with the Windrush. I was invited by Sibon to join, because we both work in the legal profession. I'm a solicitor as well, and I've done voluntary work in law centres as well since being in back in the UK. So I was particularly interested in the Windrush work, because I am what you would call first generation Windrush.
Okay.
I was born in the UK, but my father and my mother, they actually were born in the Caribbean, Trinidad and British Guyana as it then was. And well, luckily for me, when my father came over, he was a teenager. He came through the RAF prior to the war. They were still British colonies. However, in 1948, they passed some legislation whereby those persons who had British colonial status, they could have had the choice of staying as a British colonial national, which still would have given you right of abode, or they could have changed their status completely to be in British or UK status. So that's what happened with my parents prior to when I was born. So my sister and I, because it's two of us, we were born with parents who had British passports, even though they weren't necessarily born here.
Gotcha.
Now, what actually happened, or what pause.
I'm going to pause you right
Yeah.
there because we want to go into this, all right?
Yeah.
So we've taken quite a bit of information in right now because I know you guys have got a lot to share with us
Yeah.
today, and I'm really excited about this. So we're going to go for a very short timeout. You can
Okay.
digest. You can kind of, just relax a bit. All right? Get a little massage, all right? Our listeners as well can get themselves ready. We're going to take a very quick timeout. But guys, you can see it's hotting up here. There's a lot going on here, and I'm sure it's going to help you or somebody that you know. So definitely share the link, wake people up, because when we come back, we're going to hear more about this. All right, guys, and while we're doing that, we're going to be listening to some more music, and we're going to do some Lauryn Hill. Everyone loves some Lauryn Hill.
Yes.
Everything is everything.
Yeah.
You gotta love you some Lauryn Hill in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
Why not?
That's right.
Why not? All right, guys, this is your breakfast show, and we'll be right back in just a moment, right after this. We're gonna have a good day. That's the mantra of the breakfast show, guys. This is how we start our mornings. We already determined that we're gonna have a powerful, fantastic, and robust day. And joining me in the studios, we have the dynamic team here today who's gonna be sharing with us some powerful insights. We have here we have here the one and only Mel. Good morning, Mel. How you doing today? All good, full of determination?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Morning, everybody.
We have the one and only Siboni this morning.
Morning, everyone.
Absolutely, full of power and determination.
Yes,
and also joining us today, we have the one and only Selena Green herself. How you doing, Selena?
Morning, everyone.
All right, guys. Look, okay, so literally you've given us an introduction, all right, giving us an idea of where you all come from concerning your organization. What's the name of your organization again?
United Legal Access, but for short, we just say ULA because it's a lot easier.
ULA, all right.
Yeah, United Legal Access.
This sounds like superheroes, like Justice League, yeah, seriously, sounds like, yeah, man, it's like, wow, love it. Okay, and you've just given us an idea of how you fit into this in terms of giving people legal representation, advice, guidance, and support, right, concerning Windrush and other issues.
Yeah, so our organization provides legal support in the community, so in community settings and also online. So the online service, we provide housing, employment,
Brilliant,
contractual and consumer rights law. So we have volunteer lawyers who volunteer online, so
brilliant,
remotely, but then also we do have community projects where it's more casework led, and one of them is Windrush related, and that is to help communities that we saw were socially excluded, those who were disenfranchised, and Windrush is one of those communities that we saw.
Amazing, powerful. All right, we just have here in our live chat a comment from Catherine. Catherine says, yes, it was Margaret Thatcher in the Conservative Party who changed it. So even if you born in the UK, you're not British. All right, so I mean, I know you guys have your thoughts with that, yeah?
Yeah, basically I don't know if everybody's heard this term called the hostile environment. And progressively the UK government has been generally operating under this informal, formal, hostile environment whereby, as Sibon was saying earlier, certain people, they did not want to come into the country because they felt it was a threat to their Britishness. However, what is a bit ironic is that a lot of these people, or the people that they wanted to exclude from coming into the country were actually British citizens by default because of colonization. So even though they lived outside of the UK or out of the UK mainland, they were by
Default.
their own definition British. So during the war, of course, you had a lot of people who were either killed by bomb action or actually being on the front line. And as you know, a lot of devastation had occurred in many of the big cities in the UK, like London, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Northern Ireland, everywhere. And as a result of the lack of or shortage of people that they needed, the British government sort of rallied those persons in the colonies to come to the UK to help rebuild the mother country. So of course
the mother country.
Yes. So of course, you being a British colonial citizen, you felt it was your duty to help out in the UK, and many people came for that purpose. So you hear a lot about people working in the NHS, in building, on the buses, trains, teachers, post offices, everything. They came to literally rebuild the country during and support the country during the war and after the war. And this is what really is what we know as the Windrush generation. The term Windrush came because that was the boat or ship that brought a lot of the migrants from the Caribbean and even Africa to the UK in the 1940s.
I've actually got an image of this. Could I show it, to everybody?
Yes.
All right, let's have a look at this image, guys. Here we go. This is the Windrush. Here we go.
Arrivals at Tilbury. The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans. Many are ex-servicemen who know England. They served this country well. In Jamaica, they couldn't find work. Discouraged but full of hope, they sailed for Britain. Citizens of the British Empire coming to the mother country with good intent. Prodded by public opinion, the Colonial Office gives them a more cordial reception than was at first envisaged. Many are to be found jobs. Our reporter asks them what they want to do.
Now, why have you come to England? To seek a job. And what sort of job do you want? Any type, so long as I get a good pay.
Some will go into industry, others intend to rejoin the services.
Now, you're ex-Air Force, aren't you?
Yes.
Are you going back into the Air Force again?
Yes.
Did you know if you'll be
Wait, he's
accepted?
ex-Air Force.
I think so.
Some plan to return to Jamaica when conditions improve.
There's
I'd
no
like
jobs.
to ask you, please, are you a single man?
I am a single man. Only my mother that is depending on me. And I'm also an ex-serviceman.
You're ex-service, RAF, are you?
RAF. I took a course in Scotland in case making, and I'm desirous of going back there to see if I can further, because I like it very much, and I'm trying to help myself and also help my mom.
Their spokesman sings his thanks to Britain.
Now, may I ask you your name?
That's
Lord Kitchener. Lord Kitchener. Now, I'm told that you are really the king of calypso singers. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Well, now, will you
true.
sing for us?
Right now,
Yes.
London is the place for me. London, this lovely city. You can go to France or America, India, Asia or Australia, but you must come back to London City. Well, believe me, I am speaking broad-mindedly. I am glad to know my mother country. I've been traveling the countries years ago, but this is the place I wanted to know, darling, London. this is the place for me.
Okay, that was quite interesting. There was some things that was said there, and like if you guys are like, what going on? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? That was wow.
I didn't agree when it said that there were no jobs in Jamaica. That's not the reason why they came. And I think that's why they already tried to have that view of them as being, well, they were hopeless out there, so we are helping them out by allowing them to come here, when actually no, you asked them due to their skill set, because like a lot of them were very highly skilled. Like I watched a documentary where it actually showed the profession of those who came over during that time, and a lot of them were engineers, a lot of them were teachers, nurses, and that's why they wanted them over in England to help. So that's not. So what the guy said, the reporter said, that was not true. I'm sorry.
And what was interesting is the gentleman said he's come to here to be an RAF pilot.
Yeah.
But I think they slipped up because he already had those skills. So if he's arriving on a boat, where did he get those skills from?
Yeah. Well, what the other misnomer is that they have that clip seems to show that these people were never here, and the Windrush was the only time that people from the colonies contributed to this country. My father did not come with the Windrush. He came through with the RAF as well. And he was actually working during the war. In 1948, a lot of them were invited to go back if they wanted, back to the country. But a lot of them were also encouraged to stay, and then they also went around recruiting throughout the colonies the best of the best of people. Like in Barbados, they actually set up a British transport company school, trained them there, took their best engineers so that they can come here, go on the trains, build their track, maintain the trains, maintain their buses, and everything. They took the best teachers. They took the best, we're talking about university graduates and professors. They took the creme de la creme of the colonial empire. It was on invitation as well.
Yes. That's strong. So I mean, because I'm just watching that video, and it makes it look like we are doing you guys a favor.
Right.
We brought you here on a boat because we're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
But apparently, they needed those skill sets.
Yeah.
And so wasn't there any skills in London at the time, in the UK at the time, during that period? Wasn't there any skills?
Because it was after the Second World War, and actually something that's interesting is that like a lot of Britons moved to Australia, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand. So therefore, that I think it was 500,000 around that time, because I did some research, moved out of the UK after the war. So therefore, they were all going to these countries. So therefore, there was that. That's why they had a shortage, and hence why they had to go around the Caribbean islands and also to Africa to source what was already missing. And many don't realise that. And actually, that's why, just as a side note, that's why we have a lot of white South Africans or those from Australia and New Zealand who can easily get British nationality here, as long as they have a grandfather, which a lot of them are going to have because they moved out of here. They can, even though they've never stepped foot in this country, they can apply for nationality.
Oh, wow.
If they have a grandfather that was once British, and they can come through the ancestry route, and a lot of them are doing that. I know of some that are doing that up until now. So,
wow, that ancestry route. So this thing goes way back, way back. We have a breakfast show talker here saying, Chanel from Kilburn says, up until this day, Jamaicans and Caribbeans are still invited to England because of their qualifications and skills, especially doctors, nurses, and teachers. So you're literally taking skills from other places, right? To say,
definitely.
Wow, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So all right. So this boat, everyone. So we have an idea of what happened in the background, why this boat came. Yeah. People started to work to build up the country, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, where did it all go wrong?
Well, oh gosh, let me skip my notes. I know, but because I'm very organised, because I want to make sure that I get
please take us through
so the actual scheme itself came to, or the scandal came out in 2017, 2018, and by then I think that's when the hostile environment was at its height at that time. So you weren't allowed to rent out if you don't have proof of status. You weren't able to work or access benefits, a lot of things by then, because previously you didn't have to show that you were legal to rent out a property. You didn't have to show. I mean, I recall being 16, obviously, and then my first job, I just had to show a few things: national insurance number, birth certificate, and that was it. They didn't even ask about nationality or anything like that. But obviously things changed over the years.
So just to interject there, sorry to kick your flow. So you said it came out in 2017, this scandal.
Yeah.
So up until 2017, things were happening, things have been orchestrated and done, and nobody was aware of it unless it was affecting you. Right?
Yeah.
So 2017, that's when it came to the main stage and say, look, this is actually what's going on. This injustice is what's happening.
Yeah.
So similar to like the EU free movement, similar was the colonies and the Commonwealth. So you didn't need to have a visa to be here if you were from like Jamaica or from a Caribbean island or from one of the Commonwealth, the countries. And with the Act in 1971, a new law came in which meant anybody who was already here by 1973, through that act, you had the right to remain here and to work for life. You could stay here. But the issue is that they didn't, provide them a document to prove that. They didn't provide them proof because they didn't.
It was just word of mouth.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, you're from Jamaica, you're from Ghana, we know that you are under those who have the right to be here. So that's why a lot of them didn't. So I do blame the Home Office because ideally they should have had some sort of a system where you provide the documents to them so they could prove it.
Absolutely.
But for 40 odd years they went by as normal because it wasn't required. It's only when things got ramped up in the late 2000s, that's when a lot of them was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get a stamp that proved it. They never gave me a document. So now with the hostile environment is where the employers, landlords are now saying you need to provide, but they're saying, I came here in the 60s, the 70s, I never had to provide because they never gave me anything because they said through this act you have the right to stay here, you are secure, you don't have to worry. So I think the wrong group were wrongly.
Well, I wouldn't say the wrong group. I think it was a deliberate policy because they knew that they were the most vulnerable group, and also they are the most visible group because of physically how we look. Many of those, especially in the intergenerations, they have left the Caribbean. They haven't returned, and a lot of them came with their whole family, and they're here, so they have absolutely no connection whatsoever, apart from saying, well, your great-grandmother, your grandmother used to live in Jamaica or Barbados or Trinidad and Guyana, but their whole life is here. And if your whole life is here and you are getting by, you're getting your job, you've got your national insurance number,
you're working hard, yep, family,
you're getting your pay, you can open your bank account, you've got your house and everything, and the banks aren't asking you, are you British? Why would you doubt that you're not allowed to be here?
Yeah,
you know, and the other thing that they did, the Home Office did, they had loads and loads and loads of documents, and they took it upon themselves to literally shred and destroy this to destroy these documents. So people who had come in on their mother's passports or their parents' passports, old passports that they gave in to renew and so on, that document has gone. Landing cards have gone. Visas or applications to stay have gone. Lots of hard evidence that these people may have had with the Home Office, and the Home Office actually had a big old vault that they kept these documents so that when somebody had a query, they could have gone to the Home Office, and the Home Office would go down to their little basement and bring up, okay, this is where we, and verify what they have. But they destroyed that evidence to make it even harder.
So this is an intentional act of war, right? This is intentional. You don't shred stuff. So that means then that clearly in secret there were conversations that we're having that saw this particular people, all right, as some type of threat, and it's like, we want them gone.
Yep.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And then you've built up your life in this land, but there are people that are intentionally against you.
Yeah. And it's also essential to realize as well that these were classed as British subjects due to like the empire colonizing all this country. So even though they were born in Jamaica, they were still British, due to the empire, and legally they've always been British.
That's right.
Yeah. They've always been. It's just, due to the hostile environment, you had to now show that you were British, and many lost homes, lost jobs. We have, clients that we are helping who worked at the workplace 30 years, and just one day, HR is emailing them saying, you need to provide, proof that you are British, and they couldn't provide that because they didn't have anything to prove that. They had like their old documents, the passport that's, when they arrived here, that said, Jamaica at the top, but British it does actually say it on there, but that's not good enough for them, and they lost their jobs. Like, we have claimants who lost their jobs after years of working for NHS, and then obviously losing jobs. They couldn't access benefits because you had to prove your status to access benefits, and therefore your rent's not being paid, then you become homeless. We have clients who are homeless now, sleeping in night shelters. There is one that is sleeping in a car at the moment because they can't get housing, because now COVID's another problem where a lot of them got their status regularized during COVID, but then obviously there was no jobs, so they couldn't get housing because you need a job to get housing, and the council's housing list is is long at the moment.
Definitely with the clients that we've been helping, we've seen not just through ULA, but all of those who have been impacted by what the Home Office have done, it has left them traumatized. I mean, not just physically, but mentally as well, emotionally. People are ill. People are getting sick because of the whole shock of, as Melanie was saying, they didn't think that they weren't British.
That's right.
So then having to have the carpet pulled from underneath your feet, where you were secure, to then be told, no, you're not British, now you have to prove it, has left many traumatized from it.
I mean, what kind of foolishness?
I know.
Seriously, how can you trust? Okay, these are my thoughts.
It's deep.
But how can you trust such an institution that has this kind of behavior?
You can't. You can't. And what makes it worse is that because of the successive layers of legislation and regulation, those persons who probably thought, well, okay, I'm clear because I'm born here, they are not even allowed to claim where they are born as their right, and therefore as a gateway to helping those persons who are finding it hard to establish their status. So even the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, they're all thrown in a big fat flux because they don't know their status, or their status is being questioned because their parents can't prove their status. It just builds on and on and
snowball
on.
Effect.
Yeah, it's awful. It's terrible.
So we have like whole generations that have been displaced.
Totally.
Till today.
Totally.
Dion from Croydon says it took MP David Lammy to implement that justice had to be served for the Windrush generation. Several Caribbeans were being deported back home.
Oh yes, we've had clients. A lot of them, it's when they have travelled. So let's say they went to a funeral, they went to a wedding, because normal, they travelled as normal, and then when they were trying to come back home to England, they were stopped at the airport and told, well, hang on a minute, you don't have the right to come back. And we have a client who was out there 5 years, stranded from his kids, from his partner, because during that time nobody knew about this scandal, because it was like early 2000s. So he went to various solicitors, and it took him 5 years to come back.
Oh, wow.
And now he's back in the country. And then we have another one which the Home Office actually told him here that he had to go back, even though he came here in the 70s. They said, you have no right to be here. He went over there for several years. And then I don't know how they found him, but they wrote to him and said that we wrongly told you to leave the UK. And they gave him a visa to return, but he's homeless. He's in a hostel because he only came back last year during the pandemic. And obviously, think about it, all these years, all of he's cut ties with everybody now, because nobody understood why you were being sent back. So they think, something happened, something untoward, or you did this, but they didn't do anything. So there are those that we're concerned that there are those who are still out there who haven't even been reached out to, or don't realise that they may fall under Windrush.
Wow.
I need help to come back.
So this is huge, and if they've treated a Windrush generation like this, like you mentioned earlier, there are different groups of people from different countries that should be safe, but they've been displaced, or they're having hardship as well because of all these things that have been happened previously in the past, right? And it's still affecting them today. Even now, when we was talking during the break, Selena, you was saying that you could have been affected easily with this, right?
Yeah, could have.
Yeah.
Now, when the law changed in 1983, in terms of being British, I was born before 1983.
Leave it as that.
Now, my mum and dad, they came from the Caribbean, and my mother, she actually said she wanted to stay here, and she became a naturalized citizen in the late 80s, I believe. Now, being involved in this project and seeing what's been going on, in the back of my mind, I think this could have been my situation or my mother's situation if she had just stayed on her Barbados passport working. She was working and decided not to change it without realizing that the law had changed. She could have easily been sent back, or she could have easily lost her job, which would have affected the rest of the family.
Yeah.
So you're in this, even though it didn't affect me and my family, it could have.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that we have clients who, you know, by understanding, they assume that they had the right to be here and didn't change their status.
Yeah.
And there's those that did.
Wow.
So those that didn't are the ones impacted by it.
And you know what's interesting about that? Like I said, I was speaking to someone on my way here this morning, right? And you know, is a friend of mine, and they shared with me their story. You know, that they were invited by their cousin. And the cousin done them well, you know, was making sure everything was filed, everything was organized. They're from Ghana originally. And then they got their indefinite leave. Nice and easy. But there's some people who got invited and got treated badly, right? They, you know, or someone wasn't diligent to keep up with the information or to do certain things. And they're in a lot of problems now. They're just like you're in sinking sand, you know, trying to kind of climb your way back out of it, right? So obviously you've all set up this wonderful organization that's helping people, all right? And so if somebody wanted to, we're going to continue this. We have to continue this. We're going to hopefully continue this for the next two next week. So we have 3 parts, right? So if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how could they reach you?
Selena, Jonah.
Okay, well, we do have our website, which is...
I'm going to put it on the screen.
Okay,
what's the website? If you just say
it
to me.
is www.unitedlegalaccess.com.
Oh my gosh, that's a mouthful.
Now we do, when you go onto the page, there is projects. You'll see projects.
Type it in a live chat for the time.
Okay.
www.unitedlegalaccess.com. Legalaccess.com. All right, fantastic. There we go. All right, so that should do the trick. Yeah, United Legal.
And we will respond promptly.
Yeah. So, and they'll respond promptly. So, look, guys, what we're going to be looking at next week.
So next week we'll explain about the actual compensation scheme. So all those we've explained about today who have lost, you know, homes, had some sort of a detriment, the Home Office actually have formed a scheme to compensate them, you know, for their losses. So we're going to be explaining about who can claim and what you can claim for. And also as well, we're going to be speaking about the families, because as Melanie started to speak about, children are being affected. This generation has been, and future generations may be affected if it's not sorted out now. So we're going to be speaking a bit more about that next week to explain fully.
Fantastic, that's great. So look, guys, we've come to the end of the show. I've really enjoyed everything you've shared with us today. Literally, I've enjoyed your company. You know, you've really given me clarity in terms of this subject. I didn't know it was this broad, it was this diverse, and it could be affecting people of my generation. You know, it's huge. How many people out there being affected? So definitely, guys, we need to follow up with this. You're all going to be with us next week, which I really do look forward to. And we're going to hear more. So look, there's a number, there's an email on the screen. If you know somebody that has been affected by the Windrush or by other immigration challenges, right?
Yes, we can provide some advice to those who are not sure, because some don't know where it falls under, but we can provide some advice. Excellent. All right. And for example, if you didn't get to jot the information down, but you have the Breakfast Show WhatsApp line, just send us a message. Please send us messages to United Legal Access. All right. Okay. Just, you know, and definitely we could forward that to you. But that's it. Let's get everybody involved. Let's help as many people as possible. Some people don't know what to do in certain situations. They've suffered an injustice and they give up. They throw their hands in the air. Right. But we have a team here who's
was dedicated to fighting people's corners for them to get their justice. This is how we're rolling, and for sure this is definitely a pursuit of success that's worth achieving, justice. All right guys, anyway, this is us done for the breakfast show today. I hope you have been blessed, you have been added to. We keep on growing, we keep on rolling, and as we're going to finish the show this morning, you know, when I finish up the show I have to do a bit of Stacey Sarpong to finish up the show. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I think
I know the words to the song now.
yeah, I love this on Stacey Sarpong in the morning, you know. I just love it. I just love that tune, man. I just love it. What can I do? It's just my tune. Listen to this. Let's see how that starts. Ooh la la. All right, guys. But look, guys, we wish you going again. All right, guys, look, you're absolutely awesome. I wish you all a powerful and robust day. We're going to upload this program for you to watch it again on the Robust Life TV channel, and we'll keep you updated for that. But let's go out there and make the difference. Let's be the change we want to see. And until tomorrow, where we deal with your wellness and health, we'll be back at 7 a.m. Same breakfast show channel, same breakfast show time. All right. Until then, ciao for now.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Show the way and I follow.